October rain has a way of staying with you. It's the smell of wet pavement and decayed leaves, the sound of a lock clicking into place. My father's last words to me are tattooed on my bones. Get out of my house. I don't need a sick daughter. I was 15. No coat, no phone, no money, just a soaked-through backpack and algebra homework. 3 hours later, the police called him. When they told him what they'd found, his face went bone white. By then, it was too late. I'm Cher. I'm 28 now, sitting in my Boston apartment, watching rain slide down the window. On my kitchen table lies a letter, shaky handwriting on cheap nursing home stationery. After 13 years of silence, my father says he's dying. He says he's sorry. Rain always takes me back. October 14, 2011. I just aced an algebra test. I was thinking about dinner. A band poster I wanted to buy, normal 15-year-old things. I didn't know that in less than 2 hours, I'd be walking alone through a freezing storm, wondering if I'd survive the night. The moment I stepped inside, I felt the wrongness in the air. My father stood in the living room, trembling, his face the color of raw meat. In one fist, a wad of cash. In the other, empty pill bottles. My sister, Karen, 4 years older, stood behind him. Her expression was a masterpiece of concern, the devoted sister, heartbroken over her troubled sibling, but her eyes gave her away, a flicker of satisfaction I wasn't supposed to see. Our stepmother, Jolene, hovered in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, saying nothing, her specialty. My father didn't let me put my backpack down. He screamed that I'd been stealing from him for months, buying pills, hiding them in my room. He said Karen had found the evidence, cash in my dresser, pills in my closet, texts to dealers. I tried to speak, but the words died in my throat. He wasn't listening. His mind was made. Karen had spent the day feeding him lies like poisoned sugar, and he'd swallowed every one. He grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise, dragged me to the door, and threw my backpack at my chest. Then he opened it. A wall of rain and wind hit me. Thunder groaned in the distance. He looked me in the eyes. Get out of my house. I don't need a sick daughter. He shoved me onto the porch. The door slammed. The deadbolt clicked. Just like that, I was homeless. I stood there, frozen, not from cold, but from shock, waiting for the door to open again, for someone to say it was a mistake. No one came. So I started walking, autopilot toward the only safe place I knew, my grandmother's house, 7 miles away. 7 miles in a car is nothing. 7 miles in canvas sneakers, soaked to the skin, is an eternity. Route 9 stretched ahead, dark and slick. Cars splashed past. I was just a shadow on the roadside. The hypothermia crept in quietly. My thoughts grew fuzzy. Sitting down for just a minute started to sound reasonable. I made it 4 miles before my legs gave out. Gravel rushed up to meet me. Then, nothing. 3 hours after throwing his daughter into a storm, my father's phone rang. Officer Daniels, County Police. His daughter had been found unconscious on Route 9, hypothermia, transported to County General. And one more thing, sir. Child Protective Services has been notified. A caseworker is on site. We have questions about why a 15-year-old was walking alone in a storm with no coat, no phone. We'll need you to come down. Bring your evidence. My father's face went pale as bone. Karen stood beside him. For the first time, her perfect mask slipped. The woman who found me wasn't just a stranger. She was Gloria Hensley, 35 years with CPS. She knew exactly what she was looking at. A girl in the rain with no one looking for her. She wasn't about to let it slide. I woke under fluorescent lights. A scratchy blanket tucked around me. A woman with silver hair in a neat bun sat beside my bed. Gloria. She handed me terrible hospital coffee. This is warm, she said. I laughed. She smiled, a knowing, gentle smile. Now, she said, tell me why a 15-year-old was walking alone on Route 9 in a storm. So I told her everything. The accusations, the planted evidence, the years of Karen's quiet sabotage, how our mother's death had turned my sister into a strategist and my father into a ghost, how Karen had spent years painting me as the troubled one, and how I'd believed it myself. Gloria listened, never interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I believe you, and I'm going to help you prove it. Those 7 words changed my life. My father and Karen arrived at the hospital expecting a scared girl ready to confess. Instead, they found a room with Gloria, a CPS caseworker named Maria Santos, and a police officer. Karen tried her script, the concerned sister, but Maria's deception radar was finely tuned, and Karen set off every alarm. Then my grandmother arrived. Dorothy Reeves was 5'2" of pure determination. She swept into the room like a silver-haired hurricane and placed herself between me and my father. "What has this fool done now?" she announced. He tried to explain, the stealing, the pills. Dorothy listened for 30 seconds before holding up a hand. "Raymond," she said, "this might be your dumbest moment yet. You threw a child into a storm based on what? Did you even ask her side?" He had no answer. Dorothy went to war. She called a family court judge she knew. By 12:30 a.m., emergency temporary guardianship was granted to her. My father was ordered to have no contact. CPS would investigate everything. As we left, he reached for me. Dorothy stepped between us without breaking stride. "You don't get to touch her," she said. "You had your chance to be her father, and you threw it away, literally. Now we're leaving." Grandma Dorothy's house had 3 rules: breakfast at 8, homework before TV, and no nonsense before her second coffee. It was warm and safe. For the first time in years, I could breathe. But it wasn't over. 2 weeks later, Maria Santos called. "Mrs. Reeves, you might want to sit down. We've been examining the evidence. The timeline doesn't add up." Karen's perfect plan began to unravel. The $800 found in my dresser? Withdrawn from an ATM at 2:47 p.m. on October 14, the day I was kicked out. Bank footage showed Karen at the machine, in her jacket, her dented sedan in the background. My alibi was airtight. At 2:47, I was in chemistry class, learning about molecular bonds. 30 witnesses, electronic check-in. The pills? Prescribed to Karen's boyfriend, Trent. He'd reported them stolen 3 days after I was expelled. If they were already in my closet on the 14th, why wait to report it? Because they weren't stolen. They'd been planted. The burner phone? Bought at a convenience store 2 blocks from Karen's gym, on camera, in her yoga pants. Some masterminds wear capes. Karen wore Lululemon, and she got caught because she couldn't be bothered to drive 10 minutes farther. My father's letter sits on my table now, the paper thin and cheap. The rain streaks the window, same as it did that night. I have a life now, a quiet one, built on my own terms, but some storms never really leave you. I pick up the letter. The handwriting is shaky, the apology too late. I think of Karen, of the kingdom she built and the sister she sold for $45,000. I think of my father, who chose the easy lie over the difficult truth. And I think of Gloria, and Maria, and my grandmother, the women who became the shelter I needed. I fold the letter and tuck it back into its envelope. Outside, the rain continues to fall, each drop a reminder: you can survive the storm. You can even learn to live with the sound of it, but you don't have to let it back inside. Not ever again. The delayed theft report was a glaring error, a flashing sign that screamed, this was planned. But the smoking gun was the burner phone. Maria Santos tracked its purchase to a convenience store on October 10. Security footage showed a young woman with a brown ponytail and an athletic build paying in cash. Through the window, clear as day, was her white sedan with the dented bumper. The same car, the same woman, the same trail of breadcrumbs leading straight back to Karen. Then, Maria dug deeper. She audited our family's finances and uncovered 2 years of forged checks on my father's account. Small amounts at first, $50, $100, but they added up to just under $18,000. The signatures were close, but not perfect. The money flowed into accounts tied to Trent Barlow and his schemes. Karen hadn't just framed me. She'd been robbing our father blind, and she needed a fall girl before the hole became too big to hide. My grandmother didn't hesitate. She hired Leonard Vance, a family friend who'd practiced law for 30 years and had known my mother since they were children. When Dorothy explained what happened, his expression hardened into something formidable. "We're going to fix this," he said. Leonard filed for permanent guardianship immediately. He also filed a civil suit against Karen for fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress, and he secured my trust fund behind additional legal safeguards. No one would touch it until I turned 18. That year, I learned a life-saving habit: document everything. My grandmother kept what she called her paper insurance, a meticulously organized filing cabinet. I bought my own at 16. I still use it. Some habits arm you for the world. Living with Grandma Dorothy was like relearning how to breathe. Her house was small, 2 bedrooms, cinnamon and coffee in the air, but it was a fortress. She enrolled me in a new school. I made real friends. I started therapy. For the first time, the narrative of my life wasn't being written by someone else. Her one non-negotiable rule? Dinner at 6. Chaos. She'd say, "Can wait until after the meatloaf." Meanwhile, my father's world caved in. The CPS investigation put his household under a microscope. His conversations with Jolene grew tense and silent, and Karen was simply furious, not remorseful, but enraged that her perfect scheme had shattered. Leonard built an airtight case: bank records, surveillance footage, witness statements. Even some of Karen's former friends came forward with stories of her manipulation. The evidence was a mountain. Then, 1 month before our court date, Trent Barlow was arrested in Nevada on federal fraud charges, facing 15 years. He immediately offered to cooperate. In a 12-page confession, he detailed everything. The plan was Karen's. The theft was ongoing, and I was the designated scapegoat. His final line was etched in my memory: Karen said her sister was a nobody who wouldn't fight back. She was wrong. The courtroom in March felt like stepping back into the storm. I was 16, healthier, on the honor roll, but fear is a stubborn ghost. Grandma Dorothy held my hand. Leonard gave a steadying nod, and Gloria Hensley sat in the gallery, her gaze as sharp as it was the night she found me. Karen sat across the room with a public defender. The golden child looked pale and small. Our father sat alone. Jolene had refused to come. He seemed to have aged a decade in 5 months. The evidence was presented with devastating clarity: the time-stamped ATM footage, my school records, the delayed pill theft report, the convenience store video, the forged checks, and Trent's confession. Read aloud. When Karen took the stand, she clung to her story: the concerned sister, the tragic misunderstanding. The prosecutor dismantled it with simple facts. "Is this you at the bank on October 14th at 2:47 p.m.?" Karen stared at her own image. "I was getting groceries. $800 in cash for groceries. And you never mentioned this withdrawal when you later accused your sister of stealing that exact amount?" Silence. "This ATM is 12 miles from your sister's school, where she was logged in until 3:15. How did she make this withdrawal?" More silence. The truth was a wall she couldn't talk through. Then, they called Jolene. Under oath, her neutrality crumbled. She admitted seeing Karen enter my room empty-handed the morning of the 14th, and she recounted overhearing a phone call days before. "Everything is in place," Karen had said, followed by a laugh. The room held its breath. When my father testified, his voice broke. "I just trusted her. She was always the responsible one." Judge Patricia Morrison, a veteran of the bench, fixed him with a piercing look. "Trust is not an excuse for negligence. You expelled a child into a storm based on unverified accusations. You chose one daughter over another without evidence, without reason. That is not parenting. That is abandonment." She turned her focus to Karen. "You engaged in a calculated, premeditated scheme to destroy your sister. You stole. You lied. And you manipulated your own father into enacting your cruelty." The sentence was severe: a suspended 2-year sentence, 5 years of supervised probation, full restitution of the stolen funds, and a permanent restraining order keeping her away from me. Most damaging was the felony record, a scarlet letter banning her from any position of trust. My father lost his parental rights permanently. He was ordered to pay for my therapy and education, and to establish a college fund from the restitution. Judge Morrison's final words were to me: "Miss Walls, you've shown remarkable resilience. I grant full permanent custody to your grandmother, and I sincerely hope your future outshines your past." "Thank you," I said. It was enough. As we left, my father tried to approach. "Sweetheart, I'm so Grandma Dorothy stepped between us, her voice cold and final. You don't get to call her that. You lost that right on the porch. We walked away. I didn't look back. The sun was shining. I had a family, a future, and the first real peace I'd known in years. 13 years later, a letter found me. I was 28, in my Boston apartment, with a career I'd built and a fiancé named Colin who spilled wine on our first date and then made me laugh for 10 years straight. Life was good, quietly, deeply good. The letter was shaky handwriting on nursing home stationery, Maple Grove Care Center. My father was dying. He wanted to see me. He said he was sorry. I went, not for him, but for me, to lay the last ghost to rest. The nursing home smelled of antiseptic and endings. He was shrunken, gray, felled by a stroke. He cried when I entered. He apologized, stumbling over words, repeating himself. I let him finish. Then I spoke. I forgive you. His face crumpled with relief. But understand what that means. It means I'm choosing to put this down. You chose the comfortable lie over your own daughter. I built a life without you. I'm happy. But you have to live with what you did. That weight is yours now, not mine. I stayed 20 minutes, told him safe, surfaced things about my life. When I left, he reached out with his good hand. I let his fingers brush mine, then walked out. A nurse stopped me in the hall. Your sister came last week. He refused to see her, said he could only stomach apologizing to one daughter, and it wasn't her. I stood very still. After a lifetime of being the rejected one, he had finally rejected his golden child. It was too late to fix anything, but in my chest, something settled, not forgiveness, but completion. The final page had turned. I walked out into the October sun. Same month, different life. Colin was waiting at home, takeout on the counter, a bad movie ready. How'd it go? He asked. I leaned into him. I think I'm finally done. He held me and didn't ask for more. He knows when to just be there. We're getting married next spring at my grandmother's house. Meatloaf will be on the menu. Somewhere, Karen works night shifts, living with the consequences she crafted. My father lives with his regrets. Jolene pretends we never existed. But me? I'm in Boston. I have a home I built, love I chose, and a framed band poster on my wall, the one I wanted to buy when I was 15, before the storm. I finally got it. Some things are worth the wait.